Hi, it's Pastor John Whitsett. Welcome to this edition of Leadership Essentials. Our hope is that whatever you're putting your effort into, that spending a little bit of time with us can help you be a little bit better leader. Because the fact of the matter is, whether you're a business executive, a Little League coach, classroom teacher, volunteer coordinator, a parent, whether you're all those things, you're a leader. And what I've learned about leadership over the course of time is that there's different levels, if you will, of leadership. It's a concept that John Maxwell popularized a few years ago in his book, Developing the Leader Within You. But he talked about the 5 levels of leadership. Let me quickly summarize them for you and kind of walk you through them in this session. The first level, the base level, he says, is the level, what he calls position. The lowest level of leadership is position. And that is when you lead on the basis of the position that you hold in the organization. You know, when you hold a certain position, it means there's some level of authority or some level of power that comes with the territory. But positional leadership really doesn't really require any skill, ability. You're the leader because you occupy the position. You're the leader because you hold the title. People follow you because they believe at some level they have to. And people who lead out of level 1 are typically viewed by those under them as bosses, but not necessarily leaders. We've probably all had people we viewed this way. And you don't really feel like you're a team member. You feel more like you're a subordinate. And leaders in level 1 typically rely on rules and regulations and policies and org charts and things like that to control and guide. And people only follow within the boundaries of their authority, and they quite often chafe under the direction of a level 1 leader. You get people's compliance when you're a level 1 leader, but you don't get their buy-in. You don't necessarily get their passion. And there's nothing wrong with necessarily having a leadership position, but everything's wrong if you're relying only on your position to get people to follow. And this approach to leadership only works if you have some leverage. Maybe you're in the military and you've got a higher title so you can force compliance, or you've got the control of a paycheck and a person's job security or something like that. This kind of leadership really doesn't work well in a volunteer organization like the church for a couple of reasons. Number one, as I said, position's no guarantee of influence. And volunteer organizations operate more on the basis of influence than they do on the basis of title or position. And then secondly, in a volunteer organization, you have no real leverage over a volunteer. A volunteer doesn't have to follow. They can walk away. Volunteers only follow if they want to. So level 1 needs to be viewed as kind of the entry level, the place to begin your leadership journey, a place to start investing in your growth and your potential as a leader, a place to begin leading yourself in ways to where you start to move up the ladder. And the next step up the ladder is level 2 leadership, which is permission. Level 2 is the permission level, and it's leadership that's based on relationship. At this level, people choose to follow you because they want to, because of the relationship you have with them. They give you permission to lead them. It's a different dynamic because people do more than merely comply with orders, as is the case at the positional level. They actually start to follow. It's a much more pleasant environment in which to operate and function, much more collaborative. There's a team feel. It's not so much top down as it is more of a side-by-side arrangement. Communication channels are typically more open, more transparent. It's a safer environment where those in the organization can raise questions, they can try new things, they can take calculated risks. The biggest key in moving from level 1 to level 2, from position to permission, largely comes through getting to know people and connecting with them. When you like people and when you treat them as individuals who have value, you begin to develop influence with people, and trust grows, and that leads to enhanced respect, and the environment becomes much more positive as people more readily go along with people they tend to get along with. The next step up the ladder is level 3, which is called the production level of leadership. Level 3, production. This level, it really separates the true leaders from those who merely occupy a position, because getting things done is what level 3 is about. At this level, leaders produce results. And it's those results and what they've produced that expands their influence and their credibility. People still follow you because they want to, but they also do it because of more than just the relationship they have with you. They do it because of the track record that as a leader you've acquired. Because good leaders make things happen. Not only are they productive individually, but they are also able to help the team produce. You can't fake level 3. You're either producing or you're not. You're either adding value to the organization or the cause, or you're draining it. And some people never move from level 2 to level 3. And when that's the case, it's usually because they lack self-discipline, they have a poor work ethic, they lack the organizational skills to be productive. But if you desire to go to higher levels of leadership, you simply have got to produce results. There's no other way around it. And it's at level 3 where you can begin to really initiate and implement change, where you can leave your mark as a leader on the organization. Many of us have probably heard horror stories over the years of pastors who stepped into a church and they began to make changes, and they ran into resistance, and they ended up leaving, and they departed much earlier than they ever anticipated or planned that they would. And occasionally, there's heart problems of key people in the congregation. Occasionally that enters into the equation, particularly when there's a repeated record of that kind of thing going on. But many times, the problem is that the leader tried to function at level 3 without successfully moving through level 1 or level 2. Level 3, the production level, where you acquire a track record and produce results that enables people to follow you more willingly. Level 4 of leadership is what is called the people development level. And that can really be summed up in one word. It's the word reproduction. The leader effectively reproduces him or herself in the lives of others. The biggest differentiator between level 3 leadership and level 4, between production and people development, is the move from producing results to instead developing others who produce results. The goal of this level is to identify as many potential leaders as possible and develop them by investing in them and assisting in their personal growth. And between level 3 and level 4, there's a shift that occurs on the part of the leader. And that's prioritizing the growth of people over increasing personal productivity. For worker bee types, people that are highly productive, people who are used to getting in the trenches and getting their hands dirty, this can many times be a very hard, very difficult shift to make. But it's a change that needs to be made, and it's a change that can give the organization a much brighter future, simply because people are an organization's most appreciable asset. When there are more leaders, more of an organization's mission can be accomplished. So in the people development phase, the leader truly commits him or herself to empowering people, to not just delegating tasks, but delegating authority and developing the people who are doing those tasks. If the leader is the least bit selfish, if the leader's the least bit insecure, it'll show up typically during this transition. But if those things can be successfully dealt with, not only will the organization continue to move forward, but the leader will be freed up from some of the production to where he or she is free to think and envision and strategize and do all those essential things about where the organization's going that needs to be done. Then there's one additional level, level 5 leadership, which is called the Pinnacle level, the highest level of leadership. It's also the most challenging to attain. In fact, very few people do, because it requires longevity, it requires intentionality, You can't reach level 5 unless you're willing to invest yourself in the lives of others over the long haul. But if you stick with it, if you continually focus on growing yourself and developing people that are willing and able to develop other people, you may someday find yourself at level 5. Level 5 leaders are those who lead so well for so long that they create a legacy. People follow them because not just of who they are, they follow them because of what they represent. Their leadership gains a positive reputation. And many times such leaders transcend their position, they transcend their organization, they even transcend their industry. Very few people reach this level, and very few arrive at it. Very few reach it, but those that do reach it tend to arrive at it later in life. When I think of level 5 leadership, I think of somebody like Billy Graham, who's widely respected across the spectrum of people. People who may not care anything about Christianity still have a great respect for Billy Graham because of his life, because of his integrity, because of what he's done over the long haul. I think there's probably people in the political realm that would qualify for level 5 leaders. Granted, in this deeply partisan, divided day, there's probably, not very many who'd be recognized, but the name that comes to my mind as a potential level 5 leader was John Lewis. He was the civil rights activist, the served with Martin Luther King back in the civil rights movement, and was a part of the House of Representatives from 1987 until he died in 2020. People from across the political spectrum respected and followed John Lewis because of who he was and what he represented. Pinnacle leaders, they have a record of sustained excellence and accomplishment over the long haul that causes them to be almost universally regarded with influence and respect. 3 insights about leadership levels that I want to leave with you before we wrap up. Number 1, in an organization, as a leader, you will be on different levels with different people. Some people confer trust more readily than others. Some people are much more in touch with and aware of your production and contribution than others are. Some people are much more open to coaching and willing to be developed than others. So you may be on level 1 with some people, level 2 with others, level 3 with others, perhaps even level 4 with a few. But you'll be on different levels. It's not like you're on one level and everybody sees you at that same place. You will be on different levels with different people. Secondly, just because you're at a certain level doesn't mean you'll stay there. All of us, we make mistakes, but a series of repeated mistakes or some really big, costly mistakes can cost you in terms of how you're viewed as a leader. A good example of this in our day would be Rudy Giuliani. Think about how Rudy Giuliani is viewed today as opposed to how he was viewed 20 years ago in the wake of 9/11. There's some things that have happened in recent years that has caused Rudy Giuliani's people's opinion of him to diminish and fall off to where he's not regarded with the same respect and credibility today as he was in the wake of 9/11. And then the third thing, final thing, is just because these levels build on each other, you've got to keep doing the things that helped you arrive at the lower levels as you move up to the higher levels. At level 2, a leader, you still need to do the things, or a level 3 leader rather, you still need to do the things that helped you become an effective level 2 leader. At level 4, you still need to do the things that helped you become an effective level 3 and level 2. If you don't, you'll realize the point I just made, that being on a certain level is no guarantee that you will stay there. I hope this understanding of leadership and the different levels of leadership gives us a common vocabulary and a common grid that we can evaluate ourselves and what we're doing through that will help us as we serve and contribute to the cause that God's called us to be about. Blessings.